Hey guys, today we're going to take you back to Pontotoc County, Mississippi, and we're going to talk a little bit about the churches and religious organizations in the county in the early 1800s and some of the history involving them. And we're also going to share with you a little story about a conflict between the Chickasaw Indians and the French. If you like this kind of content, please consider giving us a little boop on that like button and maybe even subscribing. Come along with us. Let's go explore. Our first stop on today's tour through Pontotoc County is at the Monroe Mission School. The Monroe Mission School claims to be the first religious building constructed in North Mississippi. The mission was established by Reverend Thomas Stewart in 1821. Reverend Stewart was sent by the South Carolina Presbytery to be a missionary to the Chickasaw Indians. One of the interesting facts about the Monroe Mission is it was one of the places that, well, for a brief moment in Mississippi's early statehood, where all races worshiped beside each other. There were multi-ethnic churches in the northeast and central Mississippi, typically where the Chickasaw Indians resided. These missionaries were pretty much Presbyterians from South Carolina, and they lived in and among the Chickasaw well until President Andrew Jackson's administration removed the Chickasaw from their ancestral lands and relocated them all to somewhere out in the Oklahoma Territory. It seems that this environment even promoted some sense of equality among the ethnicities. What is often missed, and what I think is most intriguing about this early church history in Mississippi, is the fact that, well, Choctaw, Chickasaw, and people of African descent, along with their white missionaries, all worshiped together. In 1819, the United States Congress passed the Civilization Act, and this basically urged churches to cooperate with the government to, teach Native Americans how to assimilate into a white society. The idea was to teach agricultural techniques and other techniques that could help the Native Americans assimilate into the white man's world. In May of 1820, Thomas Stewart arrived at Cotton Gin Port along the Tombigbee River. In January of 1821, Stewart, with numerous families from South Carolina, reached the site where the Monroe Mission School was to be opened. The families built houses and farms, and shortly thereafter, the school opened. Its new students were members of the Chickasaw Nation. By 1823, the school, which admitted both boys and girls, for this was a boarding school, had up to 50 students. Reverend Stewart was appreciated by all, regardless of their ethnicity or creed. The church grew to up to 12 times its original size, of course, right up into Indian removal. Mission records indicate that it had something like 29 whites, 69 African Americans, and 25 Native Americans in the late 1820s. Chickasaw Chief Major General William Colbert lived in and around the Toxish community. Toxish, or McIntoshville, was located very near to where this church now stands. McIntoshville was established by John McIntosh, a British agent, somewhere before 1770. Mississippi's second post office was located here in McIntoshville. In 1801, as a relay station between Nashville and Natchez, on the Natchez Trace, which you're on now. Now we're pretty close to the location of the Battle of, I can't even pronounce that Indian name. It happened somewhere, I believe, out in this field. This battle was known locally as the Battle of Tubbys Ridge. In the spring of 1736, D'Arquette, governor of the Illinois Territory, was sent with a huge company of French soldiers and other Indian allies to destroy the Chickasaw Nation. And as you can see by the monument before you, they were defeated by the Chickasaw, and de Garquette, along with Father Senec and several Frenchmen, were burned at the stake by the victorious Chickasaws. Apparently, the father had an opportunity to be turned loose and refused. We're traveling down the old trace again, back to the square in Pontotoc to show you the historical marker talking about the battle. Next, we're taking you to Old Campground Methodist Church. This is considered to be the mother church of the area. It was organized before 1840 on a camp meeting site by Reverend James Calloway, who was the founder of Pontotoc Academy and Chickasaw College. In 1836, an old Indian hut stood just off an old Natchez Trace, pretty close to where this present church building stands. In this particular church, apparently they stood armed guards around the church each time they would gather to worship to guard against attack by the Indians. This is about the fourth church to be built on this site. Two previous ones had been blown away by tornadoes, but apparently the tornadoes didn't get the outhouse. For those of you that have never seen an outhouse, this is pretty much it. Of course, this is the outhouse and the surroundings of the church building in present day. Church records indicate that several of its members were killed during the Civil War. The church, of course, is located along the old historic Natchez Trace, and also the council house of the Chickasaw Indians, where the treaty was signed that basically removed them to the Oklahoma Territory, or ceded most of their land to the United States government, is only a few hundred yards from here as well. It is thought that the council house was located there because, well, the Natchez Trace makes an abrupt turn in the area where the council house would have been located. There was also a school located in the general area of the church. As we travel the old trace one last time, leaving Pontotoc County, we hope you've enjoyed a brief look at some of the religious institutions in the early county history and their impact on our local and our state and even our nation's history. Thank you for coming along with us today, and maybe consider coming to visit for yourself sometimes. And don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.